Hello and welcome to Northwest Newsweek. I'm Riley McManus. A troubling announcement out of Kenora, as an investigation at the former St. Mary's Residential School grounds has found 171 anomalies that could be burial sites. The investigation was conducted within the former cemetery grounds, but with the exception of 5 grave markers, the rest of the area is unmarked. The investigation began in May of last year and was conducted by Wauzhushk Onigum Nation. Chief Chris Skeed says next steps are to look more into these anomalies and search other potential burial sites.
I am hopeful that these discussions will be productive. Canada and Ontario continue to say they are committed to reconciliation, to the truth, and to healing of our communities. I look forward to hearing if they will continue to honor these commitments.
Minister Greg Rickford has issued a statement calling the news from Wauzhushk Onigum heartbreaking and saying he's joining with all Treaty 3 partners to mourn in the finding, which he notes is a tragic first for Ontario. Rickford met with Skeed and offered Ontario's full support and says his government will continue working with partners to assist with the next phase of this work to uncover the truth of the Indian residential school system. Lee Noonan spoke with Chief Chris Skeed on Thursday. He wants the province and Ottawa to step up with more support for the ongoing investigation and with the well-being of survivors and their families.
The process of uncovering the truth is very hard on the community, says Chief Chris Skeed, and a pathway to healing is needed.
Because the work just isn't going to stop in 3 years. We're going to need ongoing sustained funding because we're talking about mental health supports. We're talking about memorialization. We're talking about a whole gambit of things that are going to come out of this work.
Meanwhile, Ogichida Francis Kavanagh says all of Treaty 3 is mourning with Wauzhushk Onigum. Kavanagh says his own siblings were at St. Mary's and that throughout the region and beyond, there are people still wondering about relatives and friends who never came home from the Catholic institution.
Some survivors, I've heard, in talking with them, they had one of their best friends, one day just disappeared, never knew what happened, never to be seen again. And some of these survivors, they're still out there looking for their best friend.
Skeed says reaching out to survivors outside his community is one of the next steps for Wauzhushk Onigum. They will also be continuing to search in other areas with cadaver dogs once the weather allows. For him, listening to survivors and following an Anishinaabe protocol is essential to the process.
You gotta take your time. You gotta get that information that's coming from our survivors, because one discussion can lead into many more discussions.
Both Skeed and Kavanagh are concerned about the impact of this announcement on the mental health of their people and encourage anyone who's struggling to reach out to support workers. The National Indian Residential School Crisis Line is available for survivors and their family members at 1-866-0925-4419. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Beleaguered Thunder Bay Police Chief Sylvie Hoth announced on Tuesday that she will retire next week. Anand Deputy Grand Chief Anna Betty Achipanescum is expressing concerns about the timing, as the suspended police chief was scheduled to face a misconduct hearing in February. Hoth was charged last year with discreditable conduct and deceit related to her actions regarding an internal investigation launched against police board member Georgianne Morisseau. Hoth was suspended with pay in June and gave her letter of resignation on Tuesday, effective January 27th. City police have also been under fire in recent years for numerous flawed death investigations involving Indigenous people, which are now being reinvestigated by outside police services. Achni Panescum says she's very upset knowing that Hoth won't be taking responsibility for her actions.
And to me, this is very disturbing. There has to be a process where she needs to be held accountable, and that applies to any other Thunder Bay Police Services as well. I represent the people that and the families who are part of this reinvestigation, many of those that are non-citizens. This is very upsetting.
Achny has previously called on the city to disband the Thunder Bay Police Service and replace it with another police agency. A new green industry could be coming to the North Shore. A local forestry company wants to build a renewable natural gas plant at the site of the former Nipigon Multiply Mill. Lee Noonan has more.
First Nations-owned Lake Nipigon Forest Management, Inc. is proposing to build a plant in Nipigon that would use forestry byproducts, such as wood chips and slash, to produce a renewable form of natural gas, as well as a product called biochar that can be used in the production of high-carbon steel.
When you go and you make lumber or pulp and paper, well, you're only looking after your clean wood there to make those products. This is using all the excess residues from that material and actually going and taking that off the landscape. You're not doing slash pile burns, you're not leaving it out there, and you're actually using that to produce green energy and those items there. So it is actually, all the processes are carbon negative.
The proposed location was the site of a major fire in 2007. Nipigon's former Multiply Mill, which produced plywood, burned to the ground 16 years ago and was never rebuilt, costing the town around 130 jobs. Rubin says this is an ideal location given the proximity to the Nipigon Forest and the population center of the town. Negotiations with Nipigon have yet to happen, but Mayor Suzanne Kuko says that if the property sale does go ahead, it will be an economic boon to have a new employer and a new taxpayer in town.
People in Nipigon are really, really excited about having the possibility of having another business on there that's actually producing things and exporting things out just like the old mill used to. So I think it's a really good thing for Nipigon if it happens.
The proposal was discussed at a public forum in Nipigon on Thursday.
I've logged on this forest for over 50 years, and it's good to see that it might be sustainable for a lot longer for some of the younger people.
I'm thinking that it's a really good potential for value-added products and using stuff that normally would have gone to waste and providing jobs in the town here.
Yes, we don't want to remain unnoticed, and it'll put Nipigon on the map as well as a vibrant community, which we need to be again.
It could be anywhere from 12 employees up to 50 employees, depending on size. But that also equates to more operations in the forest for cutting the trees, as well as transporting it with haul trucks and those items, as well as all the renewal activities as well. So it could be anywhere between 30 to 400 people, to be honest.
If everything goes exactly how Rubin hopes, they could be prepping the site here as early as September and going into production within the next 2 or 3 years. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Coming up after the break, a new program will see life-saving blood products carried aboard Orange Air ambulances. The Thunder Bay Regional Hospital has partnered with Orange, Ontario's air ambulance service provider, to launch a first-ever Blood on Board program in the Northwest. It means that Orange will carry transfusible blood on board their aircraft for flights to remote communities, which will help patients in urgent need of transfusions and ultimately results in more lives saved. Mike Lang has the story.
The time it takes for patients to be flown from remote communities into regions with proper medical equipment can prove to be fatal in situations where every second counts. But as of this spring, transfusible blood will be flown to patients instead of the other way around, thanks to Thunder Bay Regional's partnership with Orange, which will equip Ontario's air ambulance services with what they need to expeditiously transport and administer blood to those who urgently need it.
This really makes a difference from the perspective of getting patients more appropriate care, definitive care, life-saving care, and improving patient outcomes. So we're really thrilled to be a part of this collaborative partnership. It's really about a team effort between our blood bank, our hospital, Orange, and the communities to really improve outcomes for patients.
This means a lot for our communities, especially those that are in remote areas, for them to be able to get access to this type of treatment when they need it is so critical. And we're happy that it's happening.
The hospital's blood bank will supply O-negative blood in specialized coolers for up to 96 hours of storage, ensuring constant supply on board Orange aircraft. The blood warmer unit will then heat the blood up to body temperature before it is transfused through a short IV to the patient. The first Blood on Board program in Ontario was launched 2 years ago at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Centre in Toronto, where more than 80 units of blood have been administered to over 50 patients since. Orange CEO Homer Tien says the program's implementation in the Northwest will be a huge step toward improving health equity for remote communities.
We sort of represent the first sort of hospital level care that they might receive. So in some of the communities, they have nursing clinics with no ability to transfuse blood or other sort of advanced medical resuscitation skills. And so for us to get there with full capability is very important.
Orange also brings medical treatment in the south closer to remote areas in the north by providing point-of-care lab tests for diagnostic purposes and a specialized mental health response program that started in 2021. As for blood transfusions, the partnership between Thunder Bay Regional and Orange will launch in April 2023. Mike Lang, TBT News.
The NAN Chiefs Winter Assembly was held in Thunder Bay this week with an appearance by Ontario Solicitor General Michael Kersner. He was challenged by several NAN chiefs on the Community Safety and Policing Act, which would impact Nishnawbe-Aski Police. And as Mitchell Ringos reports, Niskandika Chief Wayne Muniz wanted more than just a promise.
As a nation, to nation, can you formally say that we are going to deliver within a certain timeline, as you stated? Not just mere words, something that we can tell our people back home.
This question came after Solicitor General Michael Kersner's speech to NAN chiefs, where he stated that the government's plan is to have the CSPA enacted within a year. The agreement would make First Nations policing an essential service and improve its funding formula. And even though he cannot provide a formal commitment here, Kersner did offer this.
I want to keep everyone informed as to what's happening along the way. And I think this will show the goodwill when there's the transparency of where we are. We're in the last lap. We know it. The pandemic was a pandemic. Minister Jones was an excellent steward to get us to where we are today. I have to complete the job, and you can count on me to do that.
Grand Chief Derek Fox said he did believe what the Solicitor General said and appreciated the tough questions, saying it is the chief's job to advocate and push for what is needed in their communities. Fox did say, however, more is needed, as even over the holidays, many communities could have declared a state of emergency.
Those within the communities can only deal with so much, and you're hit constantly with that loss and crisis. You burn out, and when enough people burn out, that state of emergency is much needed.
The NAN Chiefs Winter Assembly will continue on Wednesday and Thursday, and Fox says over the next 2 days, many more topics and proposals are going to be brought up, and he is hoping more positive progress can come out of this. Mitchell Ringos, TBT News.
A community open house was held in Thunder Bay on Monday regarding the preferred route for the Wauzhushk transmission line project, where officials with Hydro One spoke with locals about the next steps and welcomed their feedback. Meetings were later held in Atikokan and Dryden. Mike Lang has the details.
Since March of 2022, an environmental assessment has been taking place under Ontario's Environmental Assessment Act to build a new double-circuit 230 kilovolt transmission line between Shunia and Atikokan before transitioning north to a single-circuit 230 kilovolt line to Dryden. And now a new preliminary preferred route has been proposed, giving locals a chance to learn more and give feedback at the 3 open houses. Vice President of Stakeholder Relations for Hydro One, Daniel Levitan, says talking to locals is essential to move this project to the next stage.
We want as much feedback as possible because that gives us the confidence that, in the end, we're going to be a neighbor and we're going to be a member of the community, just like any other, any other building or business. We want to be a good neighbor.
And we talked to a few of the over 70 in attendance at Thunder Bay's open house about why they decided to show up and what benefits or feedback they had for the transmission line.
No major concerns yet. It's interesting to see, I guess, the information that's shared with the public, as I have a little bit of a background in forestry and environmental work.
You're talking about a lot of employment, a lot of spin-off employment, a lot of trickle-down economic benefit going to the community in every single way.
Levitan says it will take some time before the route is set in stone, but once the line is built, 350 megawatts of electricity will be added to the region. But Levitan says power isn't the only benefit that will be seen from this project.
If there's an opportunity to build that labor market and to procure as much as we can locally, that's our top priority. So we're starting from that perspective. And I think as we go down this path, we're going to get to, I would say, a more refined idea as to how many jobs, what types of jobs, what local suppliers we can take advantage of, First Nations and non-Indigenous.
And for those who couldn't make it to one of the open houses, virtual tours are available on the Hydro One website, which Levitan says will be updated as the project progresses. Mike Lang, TBT News.
Towns and cities across the region are sending representatives to Toronto on Sunday for the Rural Ontario Municipal Association's 2023 conference. They'll be looking to meet face-to-face with provincial ministers and advocating for the needs of their communities. For Nipissing Mayor Suzanne Kuko, addressing highway maintenance will be a priority.
Of course, we all know that the Highway 1117 has not seen the optimal maintenance that we'd like to see for the winter. So we'll be making sure that that the ministry hears our opinion about that, and we just want to know what's being done to make sure that that the contractor that they've hired to do that is being made accountable and reaching the criteria that the province has set out.
Kuko also wants to see snow clearing standards on 1117 raised to the level of a 400 series highway, and she expects that she won't be the only mayor raising that issue at Roma. She also wants to address the question of bail reform with the Solicitor General, saying that repeat offenders are an issue even in smaller towns like Nipissing.
Think a little bit more carefully about when someone's being let out on bail or parole if they do have a real violent history of convictions, that they should not be let out on bail or out on parole. And if they are let out, then they should have an ankle bracelet so that the police know where these people are at all times.
And lastly, Kuko will be asking for close to $1 million to support the expansion of a seniors housing project in Nipissing. Further down the North Shore, Scribers Mayor Kevin Mullins will be at Roma, focusing on a couple of major infrastructure projects. Terrace Bay Mayor Paul Malashewski will be looking for action on a long-awaited service station and will be making an appeal to the Ministry of Health to keep an EMS station in his community. Missing the summer cycling season? Stay tuned for a story about a new company that's renting out ice bikes in Kenora. Lake of the Woods is well known as a beautiful summer destination, but one local entrepreneur is hoping to get people out and enjoying the lake in the winter months with her new ice bike rental company. Lee Noonan has a story.
Vic Moss is the brains behind Mosswood Adventures and Rentals, and the ice bikes are a first venture for the Kenora newcomer.
My husband got a job here kind of mid-pandemic, so we came out here, and honestly the last year and a bit has just been me trying to find my purpose and passion, and introductory adventures and rentals were just where it was for me, so I'm excited to start.
Moss can accommodate up to 10 riders at a time with her fleet of 8 ice bikes. The 3 different models of bike are appropriate for adults and children roughly 8 and up, with room on some models for the little ones to hitch a ride.
This baby can glide through the snow, as you can see. There's skis in the front, fat tire in the back, and you can kind of go on the ice and have fun on that.
Ice bike rentals can be booked online through the Mosswood website. Most of the time, Moss will be based right on the lake near the Hardwater Cafe, but she's also planning pop-up events at locations all around the area.
I know that the families and folks here are always looking for things to do. So really, all ages, it's meant to get families and folks out and try something new on the ice.
Check out at Mosswood.adventures on all of your social media for the most recent locations and how to rent one of these bikes. It's a fun time. I'm Lee Noonan, TVT News.
Well, another person who's happy to see the cold weather set in is scriber artist Kim Osmundson, whose preferred medium of ice and snow gets him outside and bringing a little winter magic to the town.
The reaction's been great. People love it. And it's, like, you don't have to be in a place like Toronto or Lake Louise or something to see ice sculptures over on the North Shore.
In what's becoming a local tradition, Osmundson has been displaying his ice sculptures in Scribers downtown. This Santa is a little worse for wear after the unseasonable warmth. It's the first ice sculpture he's been able to finish this year. But there's more in the works. He also produces snowshoe art. But since that's a little hard to see without a drone or an airplane, it's his ice sculptures that will be populating the town square.
I can do snowshoe art at certain times, but if I need sun to be able to do the snowshoe art, so in between, if I'm not getting that sun for a week or two, I needed something else to do. And I kind of liked ice sculpting. I wanted to try it. It's a neat thing to see. So I started looking at different ways to do it and try and make the ice blocks. The key is to get a nice clear block of ice. And after about 4 years of trial and errors doing different things, I think I almost have it down pat. So I get those nice big clear blocks of ice that you see, and then from there you just sculpt away.
The secret to the clear ice is a process that circulates the water as it freezes, drawing any impurities up and out of the ice. He then heats it up and laminates the ice blocks together to create a bigger block, which he carves using a chainsaw, die grinders, and chisels until the creation begins to take form. And that wraps up this week's edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again.